Hello and
Hey.
welcome. I have a special guest today. I don't really have a title for this piece, but as some of you that keep up with my channel know, I try to find interesting and excellent people to have conversations with. So I bring you Jake Cinninger.
How's it going, brother?
I'm good, man. How are you?
Good, man. Just busy tour. Been like a month out, back and forth doing like 3 to 4 shows a week, and then go back home and see the family, and then back out on the road, go back home, see the family. So, you know, having kids now, the booking agent knows how to make it easier on us than the normal rockers that go out for 6 months at a time.
Yeah,
you know?
I'll tell you what, so for those of you that didn't watch the other clips, I've been traveling with these guys for the last couple days and just kind of observing how much work goes into a rock show.
Yep.
And
it's that whole tear down, set up mentality, and keeping it consistent. Consistency is the key with that sort of thing, you know, with the crew and with all the equipment. It's like you really have to have a crack tight, systematic approach, mathematical, everything in that area. And then the music's where the other side of the brain gets to work, you know, so it's like.
Do those two ever kind of conflict with each other? Like, does it
Not
get
usually,
distracting?
No, because the crew are so tight. I mean, they've been our crew for such a long time that it's like the same show systematically, but the music's different. So everything about the show, you want it to be the same as the last, as far as the technical side of it, and that's what keeps just the flow of each show just so much more consistent, because then we don't have to think about any of the technical things. Everything's totally taken care of. We can just go up there and focus on the music and creating in the moment and remembering all of our shit too, you know, all the parts and the Rolodex of riffs and all that.
So you're one of the humblest people that I know, so you're going to immediately shake your head when I say this, but from my point of view, I mean, I think you're one of the best guitarists in the world.
Thank you, brother. Yeah.
And I've watched you evolve your craft over, I think it's been 12 years since I first met you guys at the 930
it's like,
Club.
Wow, right?
That was one wife ago, and like a whole lifetime ago.
Yeah,
basically.
for sure.
That was
for sure.
That was probably like 2000 and I don't know, 5 or 6.
Right.
But, you know, you were excellent then, and you continue. You know, I find it amusing because I keep coming to your guys' shows, and after every one of them, I feel the need to tell you, man, you guys got so much better since I saw you last year.
Yeah.
I want to talk about that a little bit and see if we can talk about the whole art of being a super achiever.
Right.
And it can be about guitar, but like I think that a lot of the practice principles of learning to play a musical instrument apply to anything in life. I always tell people ask me a lot, they say, how do I make a lot of money? So you have to quit focusing on money and just learn how to be the best at what you do.
A lot of people spread themselves out a little too thin and can't find a true direction that's going to be the most wealthiest thing for their beneficial thing for their life. And just really finding what you're really good at takes a lot of people a while to figure out, you know. I mean, early on I knew right away I wanted to be a musician.
How early?
Oh, like 3 years old, instantaneously.
I knew I wanted to be an entrepreneur when I was about 5.
And I started with the drums and
that's right.
The whole having like the root of the rhythm, I think, made my guitar playing twice as powerful and more consistent than, like, say you're just a guitar player that doesn't play the drums. So being a drummer first was like just crucial to leaps and bounds and getting better and overcoming you know, just problematic things of just getting better. Like,
so you think that helped the rhythmic part of stuff?
Big time, and just the feel, like just the overall, like Ginger Baker always said, well, the reason why I play with Eric and Jack Bruce is because they have perfect time. You know, like that. So, and it's really true. Like
I think Chris Myers might have that too.
Yeah, certain guys just have a certain perfect time, no matter how fast or slow the notes are, and it's actually hard to play in time slower than it is faster, you know. So
with that, so then you switch over to playing guitar, and how much do you practice? Because every time I see you, you're practicing. You don't?
It's always just kind of playing, you know. Like when I pick up the guitar.
But you're playing. You're not calling it practice, but you're still playing when you're not in the actual show.
Caught in the moment, and just whatever's kind of coming into my brain and whatever I'm feeling, it just kind of automatically comes out instantaneous. And I'm almost just working on that part of my brain that most people don't pay attention to, and it's like the true improvisational artistic spot of the brain. You have to like massage and work that thing out. So then it's like you're like writing a book, like in the moment.
I know how that feels.
And yeah, like when it's just flowing, it's like a watershed type moment. I try to keep that valve and that muscle in my brain like really well exercised. You know?
Writing a book is like that. I can't just schedule that I'm going to write a book between 3 and 5 today.
Yeah, you can't do that.
And I have
art,
this.
Art doesn't work that way.
Yeah,
you
it's
know?
weird, and I don't really consider it art in the same way that you do. But one of my things is I say you have to get yourself out of the way.
Yeah.
And that's like everything that is bothering you
Clarity,
or
like
maybe just disturbing you. Yeah, for me, both of my last books, I predominantly wrote from midnight to 6 a.m.
Right, it was just.
And
like
I was actually listening to your guys' music through most of them because the longer progressions in songs, especially without lyrics, I was able to just kind of lock in and let it flow.
Yeah, there's like a stream of consciousness to it, like the whole improvisational thing. And to make it sound like it's written, but then it's all right at the cuff, you know, right at the first things coming out of your brain. It's like entering into your hands. So you're turning sparks and ideas into like actual physical movement, you know, and that there's, so I think about the flow of the energy and the thought process, and it makes it stronger and clearer, just like thinking about that process, you know, doing little things like not picking up the guitar, just leaving it across the room and like looking at it for a while and looking at the fretboard and the possibilities of it, and take a while doing that and then pick up the guitar and play it, you know. So little like methodical things can just make you so much better, and it is a clarifying process. It's all about getting to that pure art mode where you're not thinking about dinner or what you got to do tomorrow or, you know, anything like that. You know, it's just pure focus on the music.
Do you think that so like what you described was like blinders?
Exactly, like horse blinders.
And and you know, the reason those horses wear those blinders is because if they look to the side, they might fall.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's a big problem.
Yeah,
when they do.
Totally.
So, what do you think the difference is between being good and being great? Because I have the opinion that's like there's only about that much distance in between the two.
I guess finding a little bit what people lack, even in your most favorite artists, or like in our concern, just artists in general. Like, what did the Beatles didn't do? What did the Stones not do the best? And then go through like Yes and all these great bands, and try to pick up the pieces and like use notes that they didn't choose, because everything becomes cliche. So when you're looking at trying to be a forward mover and thinker,
so you're trying to complete the work that the greats started.
Yeah, and then using your own ethos and to force change, like to force a different riff, to find that little spark, that riff that no one else has came up with. It's really hard because everything's kind of been done, just like with cliched lyrics. Just you know, AC/DC wrote the book on the simple rock, and you just can't do those chord progressions. You know, you got to you got to play wrong notes. Almost.
I was going to ask you that. Like, yeah, the failure is a big part of finding the right answer, isn't it?
Yeah. So I've always been a user of dissonance and augmentation to something that's beautiful. So I find these notes that will work and make it sound like my fingerprint rather than like Yes or King Crimson.
I read this article once, and you were talking about records and listening to them, and how sometimes, you know, you'd listen to the Jerry Band and then you pick up your guitar and you'd sound like them a little bit.
Oh yeah, it rubs off. Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think my Jerry tendencies are even more magnified now, just because I feel so comfortable in that sweet, clean sound. I just like the way it makes me feel when I play it. So Jerry's like probably my closest proponent, you know, that I play like, I would say.
So in life, do you think that practicing and just like I'm obsessive when it comes to business. Like
Mm-hmm.
I might even be like on the borderline of crazy
Right.
about it. You know, like
Oh, yeah, well-
I'll stay up for 40 straight hours, like
Totally.
working sometimes,
Working
but I
on
don't
some-
think of it as work. Like
Right.
I decided it was my hobby,
like
like
an
15 years
objective.
ago. And but here's
Yeah.
the thing: I'm not gonna sleep or feel like I'm not restless until
Right.
I get it out of my system.
Totally.
Does it feel like that with
That's a
guitar
true-
too?
yeah,
Do you like
that's a
have to
true
just?
artist.
I gotta just like get it out.
Yeah, yeah.
And then I'm like, oh,
There's a
it feels better.
cleanse. Yeah, there's a cleansing of like, it's like, because you know, an idea is like electrical energy in your head, and you have to release it. So it's kind of like you're cleaning out that brainstorm, you know, in sort of that way. That's kind of how I look at it. So you're kind of flushing out the idea, and it's like you can turn it into a physical thing. It's not just an idea anymore.
But I say like with writing goals and business plans and stuff like that, something magical happens from the head to the hand.
Mm-hmm, exactly.
And it's like it becomes real once it comes out of the
Yeah,
hand. And that's why
yeah.
you got to write it down, like with goals and anything like that.
It turns into
It's just it's a fantasy until you actually now it's physical or something like that.
Yes.
All right. So final thing, because I know you got sound check here in
Yeah,
a minute,
yeah.
and we were talking about Voltron last night.
Yeah, totally.
And people that know me know I'm obsessed with it. It's not that I think the cartoon is that awesome. I love
Right.
the idea of the 5 robots. that
Oh
form.
yeah, for sure, for sure.
So now there's 6 of you.
Uh-huh.
How do you feel about the times when you guys basically form Voltron?
yeah, it's
Because
like,
you all seem
it's-
to know when you've got it, and now you're this giant laser sword
Yeah.
wielding animal that
I
just.
think keeping the ears as wide open as possible is the musician's consummate friend. Like your ears are like the guide. You know, what I'm going to react to what Joel and Bayless and everyone else is doing, and I can hear them clearly. Then all that meshing starts to happen. It's like a classical music score where you got the piccolo, the clarinet, the brass, and down to the bass and the percussion. So you find your roles, and it just starts to make a woven fabric.
I feel
you
at
know?
any moment of those moments, each one of you aren't concerned with the spotlight or the lead, more
Right.
so doing what's needed to
Yeah,
form
what's
Voltron.
needed. Yeah, exactly. Like there isn't a melody happening. I'm like usually like the melody I'll come up with instead of solo and come up with like a lyrical melody that will sort of drift over that you can always kind of come back to. It sort of starts to paint the picture of what we're going for, you know.
Well, everybody, I got to let this guy get back to work. I'll tell you what, I've been making this video for these last few days about how much work goes into this stuff, and these guys just don't stop.
Nope,
So,
can't
hey
stop,
man,
mate.
give me a hug.
Hey,
It's
appreciate
good to
it,
see
brother.
you. Love you.
Good man right here.
Hang out,
Good man.
hang out. More to come.
What's it feel to play a show like that, Jake?
You know what? We played 1 million notes over a month, and now we get to hang up the guitars and go home and flip the switch off, become fathers, and you know, you got to sometimes put the dick down. You know. It's like